Hello, I'm Big Machine, and once again I'm here with a quick little mod showcase just on a few select features that I think go not unnoticed, but like more so these are things that people don't necessarily understand fully when it comes to trains. These are some more complex features. Well, not for me because I've been doing this for about 2 years, but um, for some people they're a little difficult. And that's fair, but I'm gonna go ahead and teach you these things that I think might be a little difficult. Anyways, so here we've got our train car, our beautiful little gondola, and this is holding our items that we need for the day. So, specifically, we're going to need a chest, a chute, and then we're going to place a little storage interface adjacent to that. This is going to be our train unloader, or the most basic one that you can possibly make. Of course, you can make more advanced ones. I have designs for those, of which I will definitely do tutorials for. But this is basically what you're going to need, right? So we're going to go ahead and move this up a little bit until these kiss. There we go, perfect. And now, oh, that back. There we go, perfect. So now that should have unloaded our items, and here we go. Perfect, we're gonna go delete those, and grab our log, our alloy, our pink conductors cap, and our whistle. So, first off, we're gonna need this log. We're gonna chop that into a chipped bit, or into a stripped bit, and then place in our andesite alloy to create a andesite casing. And then we're going to go ahead and do our conductor's cap to create our friend for the day. He's going to follow us around. Um, so, uh, we are going to go ahead and make our toolbox for him to carry, of which involves, of course, a pink toolbox. I'm going to place that down so we can place items inside of it. I'm also going to delete that axe because we're not going to need that anymore. But basically, we're going to need some track switches, brass and andesite. We're going to grab our signal, and we're going to grab a semaphore. Semaphore, there we go. We're going to fill those in. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're also going to grab our, let's see here, hand cart, or hand car rather. And then, of course, we're going to need our coupler. Boom, boom. And then we need 2 more things, of which, let me see if I can remember what these are meant to be. Right. Well, I'd say the fuel is pretty straightforward. Really, all these are liquid train fuel containers. They work with mainly lava to start with, but on mainly the steaming rail server, they are intended to work with seed oil and biofuel, or bioethanol rather. Uh, but yeah, this is basically what we will need for the day. So let me see. So first off, I will show off the handcart. So trains, of course, are very easy to make. All you need are your train casings and your controllers. But that's just the thing, is that those things cost a lot of resources to actually make. Like making a train like this is a lot of iron because of the steel and the loco metal and the andesite for the valve gear and everything that you would need in survival, right? Now, funnily enough, the Armorer's Workshop parts are relatively cheap because all you need to create those are just like the skin. What are they called? What were these called actually? Skin templates, right? Which are just wool and iron, basically. But the hand carts, all you need for these are andesite casings, wooden slabs, sticks, cogwheels, which you probably have a lot of anyways, contraption controls, and andesite alloys, in which these are crafted with a electron tube, andesite casings, and a button. That's crafted with such and such. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Game froze for a second. But anyways, you don't need to go to the nether for those even. It's really all just a wood and a little bit of andesite. But basically, you can place your handcart after it's crafted just on any piece of track. And well, here you go. It's a nice little model, but this is your proto train. So you take a seat, right-click the controls, and you are able to move and be on your way. And it's got this beautiful little animation of this cogwheel rotating with the hand lever going up and down. Game to go backwards, but the main two downsides are that if this hits another train car, or another handcar, as such... Oh. Interesting. I was under the impression that these would break. That might be a bug. Oops. But anyways, well, that was going to be downside number one. Downside number two is specifically that these cannot be coupled to anything, right? And now to delete this, you're going to grab your wrench and just right-click like that. All right. Now back to our conductor. We've done our handcart. We're going to go and grab this, and we're going to place this onto you. And you will carry our things for today. How fun's that? Now, of course, we do have a second conductor, and he is inside our newly built SU line number 1003, and he is right here, ready to work, as he should be. Yeah. We're gonna go grab our whistle, and alright, this is our conductor's whistle, right? Let me go ahead and actually demonstrate this. Conductor's whistle specifically needs just a copper and a brass nugget. A very simple craft. My inventory is very slow. There we go. We're gonna right-click him with this. And now we've bound the whistle to the train. And because he has his seat and he has his controls on either side of here, he's able to drive the train freely, basically. Well, not freely. As freely as we say he can drive it. So we're gonna go up over here and just call him over here with this cute little pink flag. Nice. So then, if we come up all the way over here as well, then he will drive all the way over here. Except for the fact that he won't, because we've placed the thing in the wrong place. Oops. So say we place it over here instead. And he'll drive all the way over here to us. Nice. Alright. Now we're going to go back over here and grab our lead, and grab our little buddy. Lead. Alright, come here, bitch. You're not a bitch. That was actually very mean. I'd like to apologize for this behavior. This will not happen again. Alright. And we are going to put him over here with his clones. Okay. So now what we get to do is we're going to actually go back over here because we do need to demonstrate one quick little thing. And we're going to grab our, not our semaphore actually, we're going to grab our track switches. So these are very simple things to explain. All these do is these open up one track and they close off another one. So in any given switch, all you're going to need to do is place this down, place it to the side over here, and so the green line is the track that it is facing towards, and that is the one that it will send the train down. The red one, or the pink one rather, is that is cut off. The train will not go down there no matter what, specifically with the andesite switch. And especially, what's fun, is you can set these using a bow, right? So, oh, hold on. Aim a little lower. Bingo. And it has set the switch the other way. So now we got the green track going left and the red track going right. And so now, if we call our little guy, let's call him to the red track. Physically cannot find a way to do it because the track is closed. But if we go to the left track, of which we do have to go and place this on a straight bit, then he will happily inch his way towards us. Or, not really inch, more so mile, because he's going unsafely fast, but he can do as he pleases, I suppose. He's the one driving. Okay, so then from there, we can go and call him all the way back up here. And we're going to go and break that, and instead replace that with our brass switch. So what the brass switch does is the same thing as the andesite switch, of which I did forget to mention that to switch the switch, you have to control-click, to begin with at least, and then you just right click, right? So control click, right click, control click, right click. Very nice. But specifically, the other thing that it does is if you look at it with a wrench, you see this little node pop up. Now it's got two modes. It's got manual mode, and then it's got the mode that allows both manual and scheduled trains to control which direction the switch goes. So now, if we have a scheduled train, such as with the conductor's whistle, actually we're going to pull him up a little bit because I don't think he's quite aligned properly. But basically, if we do the same thing we did before, where we first force him onto the closed track, he will happily ignore the switch and go down here anyways. Despite the fact that this is, of course, or was the red track, because what this also does is switches the track. It doesn't just send him down a closed track, it literally opens the track. So it switches the switch. Which is really the main annoyance I'd say with this, is that it doesn't open the track temporarily and then close it again, it just leaves it open. So yeah, anyways, now because this track is closed, right here, that's red, we're going to go ahead and draw him all the way back up here. Let him traverse at insane speeds. And then we're going to go ahead and call him back down the red track. And he will do exactly as we say because he is, again, our bitch. I'm funny, I promise. Okay, so now that is that shown off. I think it was this one, right? Sorry, they all look the same. God, that was fucked up. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to delete our switches, delete that bow because we don't need that anymore. Whistle, we're also going to go ahead and... Actually, no, we need that still, I think. So now we're going to grab this signal and this semaphore. Now, signaling is a relatively simple thing when it comes to trains. So all we're going to do is we're going to break these signals that I've already established just to demonstrate what to do here. So basically, we're going to play signal 1. And by default, if you have one semaphore, it will show you, okay, the section and track you have laid ahead of me is clean. That is clear, you can go down this, you're safe, you're good. And the conductor's whistle, of course, will abide by this, right? Okay, and there we go. So now we're going to call him a little bit farther back. And we are actually going to go ahead and mute the sound because that is slightly getting on my nerves. Never mind, no we're not, because I don't know what sound it goes to. Oops, okay, whatever. But basically, this is the most simple signal you can create, is just a single green one, right? And this is a nice little post that I've made with just some girders, some wisteria, mangrove planks, and then we've got this little placard. Actually, I'll show you how to make this real quick. Why not? So basically all you need is, well, we're going to place this right here. Signal, block, break that next tube, grab some girders, some fence posts, and we're going to grab this copycat ladder with an andesite, or not andesite, an industrial iron ladder inside. Then we're going to grab a placard, of course, with a brass slot cover inside. So we're going to place 2 girders, wisteria, mangrove, wisteria, mangrove. Then we're going to place our metal girder, our placard, and then back here we're going to place our ladders. And then on top of that we're going to place our semaphore. And there we go. Very simple little design. Now, of course, this one is controlling a switch, right? Because there's a little siding ahead of it as well. And we want the signal to be able to recognize where the track switch is, or where, or whether or not it is safe to pass through this switch, right? So what we do is we're going to add second little girder. We're going to add our semaphore up here. And so now we've got this little tiny yellow one down here. But that doesn't actually mean anything quite yet, because we have to set this signal to brass. Now, setting it to brass means it will allow passage through a section if it is fully traversable, right? So basically, if both tracks are clear, then the train can pass, right? Um, or even if one track is clear, the train can pass as well, right? But first off, to do that, we have to place another signal over here, right? So that's set to green, that's set to green, and that's set to green. So we have all green signals. But if we then go ahead and call our conductor all the way up here, we are going to watch as this signal sets to red temporarily. And then as it passes, it sets to green, but it's still got a yellow. Now the yellow means that or that a single section is occupied. The green means that there is an open section. So basically, this correlates to that track, this correlates to that track. But you can't simply stack semaphores like this if you have, like, say, like 10 tracks or whatever. Basically, all you need to know is that the yellow indicates that a single section is occupied at the very least, and the green implies that there is a single section open at the very least, right? Whereas if it's a single green, that means it's open. If it's a single red, it's closed. If these are both red, all sections are occupied, right? Now, typically, when it comes to complex signaling, you want to make sure that you have andesite signals when you are leaving a section, and you want to have brass signals when you are either entering or inside of a section. Those are the main two rules. So now we are going to go ahead and bring our guy back here. Sorry, back here. Cannot be found. Well, it should be able to be found. Oh, I believe that's okay. So it's also another thing is trains cannot traverse through sections if you have a signal facing the opposite way. So because the signal is facing forward, he can't move backward. But if we then create some additional signals to allow him to traverse, then he will do so. And navigation succeeded. And we're going to place our other signal right here. All right. Now, I'm going to place that back there real quick, and we're actually going to go... Are you going to go through this section? Come on. Okay, well, he's being a little mean, so what we're going to do is just wrench him back here. There we go. Okay. So, now what we get to do is, actually, we're going to call him a little further back. Okay. So now what we get to do is grab a hand cart, or handcar rather. Okay. Handcar. There we go. So now if we place a handcar in this section, it is labeled as red and closed off. So therefore, if we try to call the train onto this track, it will simply get stuck at the signal and refuse to do so, right? But because there's an open section, if we call him to this track, he will oblige, of course, as he should. All right, now that is demonstrated. Let me go ahead and wrench this to get rid of it. And then we're going to go ahead and ride the train all the way back onto the section with our coupler. But not before we glitch out of the train, but not before we grab our coupler block from our little fella right here, our little friend. Coupler. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and drive the train all the way back to specifically track this one, I think. So we have to go back a little bit, and then there we are. I think this is the right track. Yes, it is. Beautiful. Okay. We're going to make sure we slow down so we don't hit the train. And we're going to line this up with the block ahead of it. So this knuckle coupler is on this block. This bogie is on... It's actually kind of between blocks. Let's back this up just a little bit, so that way that is perfectly on that block. Perfect. Okay. So, this train, or this gondola, was assembled facing this direction. That being, of course, uh, east. Okay, cool. I'm smart. Um, this is assembled facing east. This as well was assembled facing east, that direction. So, because they're facing the same way, they're able to be assembled. If they're facing the other way, the coupler would fail and not allow me to do this. So, I'm going to place our couplers here. Or actually, no, sorry. We place a single pad under the first bogey. Now make sure that the green is facing towards the train you want to couple, right? Then you place the block. And so now you notice that we've got a second pad. And that is not completely aligned because the pads have to be directly under the bogey, unfortunately, right? As is here, it is directly under the bogey block, but here it is not. So what we have to do is take our wrench and go into the little node right here and set this to 6. By default, it is set to 5 meters, or 5 blocks rather. And now it's set properly, so all we need is redstone input. So we're going to grab a quick little oak button and whack that, and now they're coupled. And as well, if you just hit it again, it will decouple them. But the only issue is if you, say, couple them facing away from each other, as such, then... Actually, no, hold on. I did that wrong. Let me see if I can flip these. There we go. So then we're going to align this real quick. I've flipped this car around, so it should not be facing the same direction, and therefore the coupler will fail, right? And even if we set it to just coupling mode, it will still fail. And the reason being is because the cars are facing away from each other. But then if we go and try to flip it back, or if I can even attempt to do this maybe, see if I've done this right, hopefully so. Yep, okay. And now, because they're flipped the same way, they're still screwed. Oops. Okay, hopefully that will have done it. Nope. Okay, give me just a second here. Let me see what I can do about this so that is facing correctly. Okay. That should have flipped it back around unless I flipped it twice, in which case it did not. Sorry, flipping trains is a little hard. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So now we've coupled our train. Now it is a little difficult to do so, but it is entirely possible, and it's been made easier by a lot of bug fixes and a lot of hard work. But it does work, and it's beautiful, and we love it. All right, well, that's about all that I wanted to show off personally. And yeah, hopefully more little mod tutorials coming in the near future. Hopefully this was relatively helpful for you. Um, and yeah, I have been Pink Machine. I still am, and always will be. But regardless, see ya.